This is the Sergio Rodriguez Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sergio Rodriguez Show, a show unlike any other. Joining me today from the USA Today will be Chris Iseman. We're going to bring him on to discuss the Knicks and the NBA in general, right? Get a rundown as we are in the All-Star break, approaching the All-Star break now. On Sundays, the All-Star game. So we're going to bring him in, get a little State of the Union on the NBA. And before we bring Chris on, let's let you know about our sponsors, M&J Luxury Inc. For the most unique experience in the medical transportation business, call M&J. Located in New York City with over 1,000 cars at your disposal, call them at 718-278-2222 or 914-484-7264. The official sponsor of our interview portions is Stan Sports. Stan Sports Center is your local full-service authorized team dealer for all of your favorite sports brands. Family owned and operated, Stan's has proudly supplied apparel, uniforms, equipment, varsity jackets, and much more for the entire tri-state area since 1946. Find them online at stansportsctr.com and contact them today for your sporting goods needs. And joining me right now from the USA Today, the Knicks and the NBA writer, the great Chris Iseman. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Can't complain, man. I appreciate you taking some time out to be with me today to discuss the hot story in New York, those New York Knickerbockers.
It's unbelievable. I'm glad to be on with you, and I appreciate you having me on. So, certainly been a big story here in New York, no question about that.
Isn't it incredible that at 19 and 18, the Knicks are a bigger story than the team that has the 3 Hall of Famers and is probably the favorite to win the title, or one of the favorites?
You're going to upset a lot of Brooklyn fans by saying that. But you're absolutely right.
I mean,
you're absolutely right. I mean, it is. It's just there's no question about it. I mean, I think Knicks fans have been starved for so long for to have a decent basketball team to be rooting for and to just have confidence to be rooting for. And so I think now having a team that's over 500 at the All-Star break, I mean, this is like nirvana for so many of them, and it's been amazing to watch how excited they've been. And it's a great story, like I said, no question. But you're right. They are the bigger story right now than the Nets. They're getting more attention, which is hard to believe considering the Nets probably are, could very well end up in the finals.
The Knicks are always going to win regular season games under Tibbs. He's that type of a coach, right? So in the NBA, if you show up every day and you play hard and play on the defensive end, you're going to win games. But are the Knicks ever going to be able to get a Tim Duncan type player? And again, I don't mean a Hall of Famer like that, but I'm talking about a star that is going to be willing to commit to play defense that will actually help them compete for a championship.
Well, you look, I mean, that's the challenge, right? I mean, so many stars in the NBA obviously are all, they're terrific scorers, but, kind of defense is, let's say, lacking compared to their offensive abilities. I mean, look, that's certainly the challenge. I think, when you have a coach like Tom Thibodeau, any star knows what they're getting into when they arrive to play for him. And look, I think the Knicks are not going to go after anybody that they feel like won't fit into what they're trying to do in their system. I think, Tom certainly has the type of player that he likes and believes can help him win. And he, is certainly, works well with Leon Rose and World Wide West as they put their roster together. So I think that if they get anybody, there's going to be somebody that they believe can help them win. So, do I think that can happen? I don't think it's necessarily easy to do, but I think that, at this point you have to believe that at some point they can, find a way to get that type of player that they certainly need.
Randle's having for a historic Knicks season statistically.
Yeah.
Where do you think the difference has come? Because he was the guy that Knicks fans, even up to the first month of the season, were just saying, hey, look, he is what he is. He's a guy that we could probably bring back a couple of picks for, etc. Now he's looking like that second guy that could be a part of the solution to winning here in New York.
It's unbelievable the turnaround that he has undergone since last season. I mean, you look at a player last year who, under David Fizdale and then Mike Miller, who just really struggled to adapt to being that number one guy for the Knicks. And he just, you could tell he just didn't seem comfortable. I mean, he was turnover prone. He was not taking good shots. It was a really, really tough grind for him last season. And you're right. I mean, I truthfully, at the end of last season, I said, I don't think that we're going to see him in a Knicks uniform again. I just thought that it didn't work out and that they were going to look for a trade and deal him away and get some assets back in return. But to see the transformation that he has undergone, it's been incredible. And I give him a ton of credit. I give the coaching staff a lot of credit because I think that they're certainly a big part of this. But at the end of the day, it's on Julius. It's on, the work that he put in the offseason. He got in fantastic physical shape. I mean, to go from shooting 27% from three last season to 40% this year, that's a part of his game that he has improved considerably. And to go from, like I said, a guy who was struggling to be the number one option to somebody who has literally put the team on his back this year and has carried them to several victories, it's just been amazing to see and amazing to watch. And he deserves a ton of credit. To put together this all-star season, without him, they certainly would not be a game over 500 sitting in fifth place in the Eastern Conference. There's no doubt about that. So he deserves a ton of credit.
About a month ago when the Knicks got Derrick Rose, I heard a lot of bringing in an old guy. Same old Rose. He's a me first. He's going to kill the chemistry. I heard all of that. He's been phenomenal. Not only the way he's played, but how it's incredible how his game has evolved into a professional basketball player.
Yeah, he's been great for them. And I think he has really accepted the role. I think he's very aware of where he is in his career and how he fits into this team. And he has been, you're right, he's been great. It's been such a nice addition for the Knicks to bring in, for so long, they really didn't have that capable, competent, reliable point guard. And you bring in a guy like Derrick Rose, who maybe, okay, he's gone through some injuries. He's on the latter stages of his career. We know all that. But we also know what he can do when he's on and when he's right. And right now he's right. Obviously the last two games being out with the health and safety protocols, that was unfortunate for the Knicks against the Spurs. I think that hurt him a little bit last night. They didn't need him against the Pistons, no question about that. But he's been great. And he's completely accepted the role of being a leader too. And not just being a point guard who's on the floor and trying to help them win, but he's thriving and he enjoys helping guys like Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett and the younger players who are kind of looking to him as a veteran mentor. He's accepted that so well. I think the relationship, obviously, him and Tibbs go a long way back. I think that certainly helped a lot. They're very comfortable together. Derrick Rose loves playing for him. So it was just a really, really good addition for the Knicks. I was skeptical. I'll be honest. I was one of the people who was kind of wondering how this was going to go. I was wondering how they were going to, and a lot of people were wondering how it was going to work with Emmanuel Quickly. Was his growth going to be stunted? Was his minutes going to be stunted because now they have a guy like Derrick Rose? But I think Thibodeau has done a good job of getting them both time. And I'm surprised by how well it's gone. I'll be honest. I did not expect it to go as well. Even shooting from three, I mean, he's shooting 45% from three, which is a small sample size, and still, he's not been known as a great three-point shooter. But since he's been in the Knicks 10 games, he's certainly been competent on that level. So he's been a very, very nice addition for them, no question.
You mentioned the point guard situation. We all felt, I know I did. I put a video out after the draft about them not drafting Halliburton and spending that pick in a grown man who played in a mid-major. And we're going to get to Toppin and that. And if you draft a guy that high and you bring him in, and on a 500 team, he's basically playing 15 to 16 minutes a game, scoring 4 points a game. I have to believe that privately, during those Knicks Zoom calls between management, they're all looking around saying, boy, did we fumble the ball. What do you think?
You know, I think it's tough to say. I certainly think that there's been, you know, we obviously don't hear from management, so I don't want to speak for them. I think that they're confident and they believe that we have not seen nearly enough of Obi Toppin to decide what type of player he's going to be. It's been 27 games that he's played in his rookie season. Certainly, as he's had ups and downs, the defense needs to get better. The shooting needs to improve. Things like that. There's no question. He's shown flashes of what he can be. Do I think that they fumbled the ball? Maybe. I mean, maybe, you know, they're having second thoughts, but I still think it's too early to say what we're going to see out of Obi Toppin. You know, he's 23 years old now, so certainly he's an older player, no question. He wasn't as much of a project he wasn't a project at all compared to the players that they've taken in recent years. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see how he continues to improve, but I think it's too early to say that he was quote unquote bust. You know, I don't think we're
Chris,
there yet.
The thing that gets me about him is that even if he triples his output over the next year, you're still getting a 13-point per game guy that you're basically a role player.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
no question.
And you spent and that was the pick that they had been, you know, prepping for. It's just incredible to me that's what that's what they went with, and they felt that was the best. I just feel like some of these guys, they don't watch enough college basketball, because I could have told you that this was going to happen. I watch enough college basketball because that is what I do, to tell you, you know, this guy is a great college player, but it's not going to translate X, Y, Z. I just, it amazed me that they spent that they spent that pick on Toppin. Speak to me about RJ Barrett. Ups and downs this year. At times he looks great on the floor. At times he looks like a guy in his second year.
Yeah.
I mean,
look,
where's his ceiling?
I think that he's got really, really good potential. I think that he can be a high-level player. I think what you wanted to see coming into this year is, can he improve in all areas of his game? And I think it would be hard to say that he hasn't improved. He's still not where I think they want him to be. But even just, you know, his three-point shooting 35%, you know, there's still more there. He needs to get better at that, but he's certainly improving. He was 32% last year. You know, it's just his free throw shooting has been better. That was terrible last season. They're shooting close to 75% this year from the line. He's getting to the rim. He's able to make his own shot. I think that he's certainly made improvements, and I think he's got a lot of potential to keep getting better. You're right. I mean, it's up and down. You know, it's kind of, he had that game a couple of weeks ago where he was 1 of 9 from the field. I mean, it's just, he has games like that, you know, unfortunately for the Knicks, but other times he looks fantastic. So I think that's kind of what it's going to be through the rest of the season. They like the way he works. They love the way he is off the court. So I think that there's still a lot more there, but, you know, certainly he's improved in all areas of his game. And that's, if you're the Knicks, that's what you want to see. Just keep improving, keep getting better. He's still, you know, he's 20 years old. I mean, he's a very, very young kid. So I think really, in some ways, I think he's scratching the surface of what he's eventually going to be. So he needs time, but I think the fact that he's improved, he hasn't taken steps back. I think that's a good sign for the Knicks.
The Knicks have to be happy with Quickly, though. I mean, you know, he's had his share of rookie games where, you know, he's shown there. And sometimes Tibbs seems to have a good pulse on Quickly right now. There's games where he's only playing him 12, 13, 14 minutes. And, I think he's got a good feel for him right now. And he knows when he's there on particular nights. What's your thought on how the Knicks have hit on this pick with Quickly so far?
I was surprised how well he played right at the start of the season. I think he took a lot of teams by surprise. A lot of opponents maybe weren't necessarily planning for him so much, and then he came out, lighting up from three. He plays with a confidence that really stands out for a rookie, for a 21-year-old rookie. He's very, very confident. He has an excellent basketball IQ. No pun intended with his initials, but he's really, really a high level, intelligent player on the floor. I've been surprised at how well he's played. I think there was a lot of debate early on that he should be starting, and I was one of the few people who said that I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't.
I agree with you.
He's playing well off the bench. Just keep the second unit together. Let him continue to grow as a player. Let him be with the second unit. And I think we've seen that because he has had, like as you said, he's had some games where he just hasn't played too well. And so I think that just to keep his confidence where he wants it to be, just keep bringing him off the bench. And he's played well, and he's been a real spark for them. And I think with that pick, they certainly hit on something good there. There's no question about that. He's an impressive player, and I think he's only going to continue to get better.
Last thing on the Knicks before we go on to the rest of the NBA. Are the Knicks going to make any moves to try to make a run at this, moving forward? I mean, again, they're not going to win a championship. We know that. But I think they're a move away from maybe winning a round in the playoffs. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they need that other player. I don't think they have enough talent yet. Look, I think, we'll probably talk about this when, we get into the NBA, but the Eastern Conference is not exactly a deep league right now. I mean, it's so I think that they've kind of capitalized on that, being where they are. I think that they're in position to be aggressive. They have draft picks. They have some young players who could interest other teams. If a guy like, maybe I wouldn't overpay for a guy like Victor Oladipo, but say he becomes, available and the Rockets decide to trade him, I think he could be an option. Bradley Beal, he would take a lot. He makes a lot of money. If he becomes available, and he wants out of Washington, which so far there's no indication he wants out, but maybe a guy like him they could go after. But again, it would take a lot more, certainly, than Victor Oladipo, no doubt. But I think that they are a player away, a star away, a high-level player away, however you want to phrase it, that they could really take that next level and be where they want to be at. So I agree with you. I think they're a player away.
Take me around the East. The Nets figured out some things defensively. If they play a lick of defense, I just cannot see them at worst getting to the finals. You agree?
I agree with that. I think that they're so good offensively. And what's amazing is that they have played this well. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They're pushing the Sixers at first 5. It's only a matter of time before they overtake the Sixers and go into first place. They've done this without Kevin Durant, and that's what's unbelievable. I mean, we talked so much when they got Harden about the big three. Really, we haven't seen the big three, and look what they're doing. It's unbelievable, and they're just going to score so many points. I think that once you get into the playoffs, you need to start playing defense, and that's where I think that if there's a weakness, that's where we're going to see it. But I still think that I don't see another team in the Eastern Conference that really could give them a sustainable challenge in the playoffs. I just don't. James Harden is playing at such a high level right now. I've been impressed, somewhat surprised by how well things have gone in that entire dynamic. So they certainly, you're right. They need to play defense, but at this point, they're scoring so many points. Their offense is so good. They're able to kind of make up for any weaknesses. Like I said, in the playoffs, that's going to be tough to do. But certainly they're playing just fantastic basketball right now.
I just don't see how Milwaukee in a half-court setting, when Giannis still struggles with his shooting, I just can't see how over 7 games they can muster up enough offense to win 4 games, and that would be probably the biggest competitor. Philly's been great so far, but the thing with Philly is the point guard can't shoot, and the center wants to play on the perimeter.
Right.
And that doesn't translate in the playoffs.
Well, I think we've seen that in recent seasons, right? I mean, every year, for the last few years, Brett Brown took the fall for it, but every year in the last few years, you look at the Sixers and you think this is going to be the year they're going to make some noise, and then they kind of underwhelm. They just, they sort of don't live up to expectations. You're right. They're a team that's really good in the regular season to get to the playoffs and isn't as good as we think they're going to be. So, You're right. I agree with you with Milwaukee. I don't think they have enough offense to compete with a team like. I don't think a lot of teams have enough offense to compete with a team like Brooklyn. We have 3 future Hall of Famers that can step up and play at a higher level when they need to in the playoffs. I mean, they're even tougher to beat. So I agree with you completely.
The Celtics got off to a slow start. They've picked it up a little, but what's going on there? They should be a lot better.
They should be a lot better. I've been a little bit surprised, but I still think. I mean, they're playing much better in recent games. I still think that they're going to be a threat in that East. I think that as time goes on, look, this was such a weird year in so many ways. So I think that a lot of teams just got off slow starts. I mean, look at a team like Miami too, a team like Toronto. I still think those teams are going to be better. And I put Boston into that category. I think that I just think that there's more there for the Celtics. I still think that they're going to be a competitive team in that East. There's going to be a lot of competitive teams in the East because of the nature of the conference, but I still think that there's something better there. And I think that as the second half gets started, I think they'll continue to get better and better. I could be wrong. I could end up, regretting that statement, but I just think that they're kind of still getting to where they want to be.
What is going on in Atlanta? When the season started, I predicted that Atlanta was going to be a 5 or a 6 seed, a team that was going to really make some noise, and have a chance to win a round. Again, they weren't going to win it all, but they got off to a nice start. And since about the 12 to 15 game mark, it has gone bad in a hurry.
Well, I'm absolutely shocked. I agree with you. I thought they spent a lot of money in the offseason, which I think is probably a good reason why Lloyd Pierce is now out of a job. I mean, they spent a lot of money and they gave him a roster that they believe could win. And the fact that they're, 4 games under 500 now, the All-Star break, that is certainly not good enough. I liked the Gallinari signing. I thought that he was going to be a nice player for them just to kind of throw into that mix. Trae Young, with Collins, I thought that was going to be a really nice pickup. And I've been surprised at how much they've struggled. And, we'll see what happens in the second half, but certainly I thought they were going to be better. I agree with you. I thought they were going to be I thought this was the year, like Atlanta's going to be, right in the heart of it in the East. And I'm shocked at how poorly they played.
It was Miami. Let's wrap up the East here. Miami beneficiaries of the bubble, or do you think they're better than what they've been so far?
No, I think they're better. I think that they're better than where they are and where they have been. You could see they've started to kind of pick up the pace here a little bit in the last few weeks. I think they're another team, like I mentioned with Boston. I think that they just got off to a slow start. They dealt with some injuries too. I think that they're back, and I think that they'll continue to get better and kind of be a factor in that East. So I think that they're a 500 team now, but they should continue to kind of accelerate here in the second half.
Are the Jazz the Knicks of the West, just with a secondary, like on steroids?
That could be a good way to put it. They're I kind of expected them to be a really good team. I think a lot of other people did too. I mean,
And I'll tell you why I say that. They compete every night.
Yeah.
They have a top 5 coach who, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated guys in Quinn Snyder.
Yep.
They defend.
Yeah.
And that's a recipe to win games in the regular season. They're more talented, obviously. That's why the record. But my point is that it's the same blueprint.
Yeah, there's better players. Exactly.
Correct.
And what's impressive is they're doing in that conference, which is so much better than the East. I agree with you. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's just a fantastic player. Mike Conley's been solid for them. I mean, it's just been. I agree. The way that they play defense is the big deal, and that's what's going to help them in the playoffs. Especially you got a team like the Lakers out west that obviously is a good defensive team too. So I agree with you completely. I think that they're doing it with a similar blueprint, really good defense. They play hard every night, just a lot more talented.
I'm going to throw the team at you. You tell me what's on tap for the second half. The Suns.
What a story they've been. The addition of Chris Paul has been great for them. I think that they're going to be there. I think that they're going to be there all season. I think that they're going to give people a lot of problems. And, I think that they've just had a young core with, guys like Devin Booker and, even a guy like Bridges I like. I mean, I thought the Knicks I'll be honest, I thought the Knicks should have taken him a couple of years ago out of Nova, but they didn't. And, I think that the Suns have a really good core, and they're going to be a factor in the West.
The Lakers.
They're going to be there all year. I mean, how could you discount them from anything? I mean, you get Davis back, and they're just going to be they're another great defensive team, so they're going to be all year.
Here's my thing with the Lakers. They got a big boost last year of the break and then the bubble. I don't know if they're going to be as good after 70. I don't know if LeBron, I mean, I know he's superhuman.
Yeah.
But, man, if he's got to go the whole NBA season, and, let's be honest, Anthony Davis was hurt every year except for last year because of the break. I mean, he's already hurt again. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about them. I don't know. I worry that age is going to catch up with LeBron, and I worry that the injuries are good. This won't be the only injury that Davis has this year.
I agree with you, and I think that the one thing that kind of surprised me with LeBron was that I thought that there was going to be more load management when they came back. I thought that he was going to kind of ease into the season because of the short layoff between the bubble and the start of this year, and he jumped right into it. And I've been a little bit surprised, and I do agree with you that I think there's a point, LeBron being who he is, but does there get to a point where that starts to wear on him a little bit more? I wouldn't put it past him that he's just going to continue to blow that, away and not, push through that completely because of who he is. But I agree with you. I think that could certainly come up. And look, I mean, Davis is not coming back from an easy injury too. I mean, that's not something that a lot of guys just bounce back from easily. So that's certainly going to be a factor. But I still think that they're so good.
I've always respected that about LeBron. He shows up to play every night. This load management garbage absolutely. That everybody else tries to pull, to me is and speaking of load management, what's up with the Clippers? I mean, you can't even assess them because I don't even know if they've played 10 games together, fully healthy.
Yeah.
Exactly. I shouldn't even say healthy, just non-load management.
Together.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think that they're a very difficult team. I still think, again, I keep saying it, but all these teams, I feel like they're gonna be where we expect them to be at the end of the year. They've got too much talent. I think they have too much talent to kind of to not be a significant factor. But you're right. They haven't really been together all year. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the second half. But they just, I don't know. I like the Clippers too.
The 8 and the 9 seed right now are Golden State and Dallas. One of those two teams would be out. I don't think anybody's. Listen, I think what Pop is doing with San Antonio is pretty good. The NBA needs both those teams to make the playoffs. They need Luka and they need Steph in the playoffs.
Yeah,
even if it's for one round.
Yeah, and I still think that I like the Warriors making it. I really do. And I like them and the Spurs. I'm not sold on Dallas. I don't know. I'm not there yet to say that they're a playoff team. Kristaps Porzingis has been, obviously things have not gone so well with that whole addition. He's been up and down. He's dealt with injuries. I'm just not sold with Dallas being, holding on to a playoff spot for the long term. Now maybe that they get into that play-in, but I'm not sure. I still like the Warriors eventually kind of overtaking them for that 8th seed and getting into the playoffs. Anything
coming out of the All-Star break here? Any news? Anything you want to break?
I wish I had something for you, but right now it's pretty quiet. It seems like I think a lot of teams are just happy to get to this point. It's been such a crazy first half, so many games, and after a very, very strange season, very strange off season. So I think things will be quiet, but who knows? Things could blow up at any moment.
Chris, you the man. Thank you for joining me today. When we get right before the playoffs, I'll give you a call, man, and pop you back up. And hopefully the Knicks will be in it. Hopefully the Nets will be, healthy. And, this will be a fun playoff in New York, I hope.
For sure. Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, and it would be great to talk again in a couple months, no question.
Chris Iseman from the USA Today, and you've been listening to the Sergio Rodriguez Show, a show unlike any other.